This is coming from EFM, the Resource Center for All Conversations on Entrepreneurship in Action. My name is Yuan and welcome to Collab. And this time we are collaborating with Open Connectivity Foundation, OCF, which is a standards organization that develops application layer IoT protocols based on a universally supported IP using strong open standards. Now, OCF is published as an ISO IEC specification, and there is a comprehensive certification program in place. Today, we are speaking with Wouter Van Der Beek. I hope I got that name right. Chair of the Technology Coordination Steering Committee, also the Principal Engineer at Cascoda. How are you, Wouter?
Thank you. I'm fine. Yes.
Okay, tell us all about the special committee that you're on, the Technology Coordination Steering Committee. What does it actually do?
Well, it's a mouthful. It's a long word, but frankly, it's the part of the organization that is doing the technical oversight of all the technical work inside of the Open Connectivity Foundation. So the main job is steering the software development, the open source development, the certification development, and also the specification development. So these are the components that we are delivering as technology. And of course, we are a standards organization, so we are leading by specification. But one of the things that we are doing is making sure that the specifications are implementable and that there is open source available so that there is early adoption for the specification that we have. The main groups that are reporting into the TCSC are the security oversight. We are really focusing on security, so that group has a special place. So if it's not okay with them, then frankly, it's a no-go area. So everything needs to be secure from the bottom up. The other groups is the Core Technology Steering Committee that comprises mainly of the groups that are building the foundation, the open source and tools that are delivering the open source, but also the tooling around the standard. And as last, the certification group, so that there is tooling available to check if what is implemented is correct according to the specification.
And so that open source is IOTivity.
Yes. So
tell us about that. That's exciting.
So IOTivity was mainly created by Samsung a long time ago, and a lot of other companies contributed to it as well. It is independent of OCF, so you can use it without being an OCF member. But the main contributors and also the direction of IOTivity is to implement OCF as an open specification. And frankly, it's a nice set of software which really can run on very, very small devices.
And just to understand also, if I'm a startup founder or I'm part of a startup that is looking at new different ways to bring on board IoTs, how important is certification to me, to my company, for example?
Certification is important because that gives you the right to use the OCF logo, especially for devices that are consumer facing. So in the smart home world, having a brand is important, and it also then gives the end customer confidence that what it's buying is actually working together with other companies' devices that have the same logo. For the whole ecosystem, it is important to have a lot of code that is verifying test cases and test scripts that can be run automatically to check if an implementation is actually doing what it says on the box. And it is really an expensive business for OCF to create such a tooling, but it's available then for all members, and yeah, some members are running it daily against their product and using it daily in their development, because it's so worthwhile in making sure that it is, your implementation is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Maybe Wouter, you can give us an understanding of what does it take from, say, for example, timeline, as well as understanding how to be a part of the certification and implementation able in terms of the specs to the products. So if I'm an IoT manufacturer, or if I'm an IoT designer, for example, at what level should I be aligned with OCF? And what does this process look like?
That's a hard question, because it is different for people that wants to influence the specifications, like I am. I work for Cascoda. We want to contribute to the specification. Of course, there are also companies that just want to use the specifications, and there are also companies that just want to use products and deploy the products. So there are 3 different levels of people that
Let's
are
start
engaging.
with companies who want to use the specifications.
So the companies that want to use the specification as is, they can just pick up the OCF, the software, the specifications. If they join, they have access to the certification tooling, all the behind the scenes materials, which is not published on a public website. So all the certification procedures and all what you have to do is there. You can just pick up IOTivity, and then you can just build your product with it. And it depends on how complex your product is. And we have companies that ship modules, so you can already use a pre-configured CPU with, and you only have to attach your sensors or your actuators to it, and that would take approximately it can be days to weeks to develop it, and the certification process itself to get it certified is also something like a week, depending on the availability of a certification test lab. So
awesome. It's more clear to me now.
So from scratch to do something, depending on the knowledge of the developers, I think you can create a product within a few weeks if you want to.
So what about to the industry itself? So if I'm a manufacturer, if I'm a provider of IoT products, so which means a user of your certificate, how does this certificate help me sell my products? Not so much to the end user, which clearly just use the logo and the branding to influence trust and credibility, but in selling it to another business need, for example, how does OCF certification come to play?
I think it's not the certification itself that is important, but it's the recognition of the ISO IOC specs that we are creating. So and next version is imminent. So we just passed the ballots in ISO IOC to release another spec. So so that work means that what you're using is a worldwide standard, and with the certification, you have proof that you're implemented it correctly, and that should say enough that it's a viable product that can interop with other products. So it's for a small company like Cascoda, it's very important to have the certification, because it gives us the confidence that gives other companies confidence that what we did is correct, and that gives that should give attention and detail, and also the basically the confidence that what you're buying is the correct thing that you're ordering. So
absolutely, and that is most important in selling, isn't it? If it gives confidence to the buyers, then immediately it already puts such a strong valuation to your product, and that is why I think if you are in the same space, if you're in this industry, it is definitely important to check out the OCF network, and also to understand the certification and also all the other tooling that is being provided. So very quickly, perhaps, Wouter, you can also tell us what are the other benefits of being a part of the OCF network by joining as a member?
Other things is, of course, it is a large organization, so it's about 500 different companies that have joined OCF. Not all the companies are active, but you will learn all the active companies pretty easily when you're joining meetings. So it is a business-related organization, so that people can help each other out in creating new business opportunities. For example, we are working as a module provider inside of OCF, and we have a set of companies that are using our modules to create products. Without an organization like OCF, it would be very, very harder to find those connections. And also, if you find them, it's harder for our customers to recognize what we have. So in working inside of OCF, it creates new features for the products with we can do things pretty quickly inside of OCF. And so if new opportunities comes up, we can quickly address them inside of OCF by creating new features for the standard.
What about drawing up of policy? Is there support for that, like for government policies in security, for example, in determining other features that's important for the IoT industry? Is this something that the OCF can also be of help?
Yeah, so one of the things is the security working group, the security oversight working group on the highest level. They already did quite a lot of investigations and ranking the OCF specs into two existing government policies. So one well known is NIST, and NIST has an extensive document in what an IoT product should look like, and that's important because if you want to sell to IoT products to the US government, the legislations are already there that you have to fulfill those requirements. And by using OCF, and that we did the work in how OCF complies to the NIST security framework, you immediately are satisfying that need. So I'm not sure how the logoing in the US will look like, but there is work going on right now. It's not done yet, but frankly, we are already the safe bet because we already know that we are compliant with what they are asking, because we already work together with NIST to make sure that what we are writing up fulfills their security baselines. The same thing is happening in the US, and also the same thing is happening in the UK, and it's called ESMA. And frankly, it's all in the same way in that we are ranking all those security baselines, and that we are, frankly, ahead of the world, so that we are compliant with most of them.
Which speaks volume in terms of Southeast Asia's participation. I guess we must catch up. We must catch up as fast as we can.
I don't know. We are trying to figure out what is happening security-wise in Asia, and I really don't know that much about it. Although one of the few biggest companies in in Southeast Asia, Samsung and LG are part of OCF. We did not hear that much back in what is happening on regulatory basis in, for example, South Korea. So I think they will follow what is happening in NIST and maybe also what's happening on ISO IEC level. And then we will see. But I think just following NIST and what's happening in Europe gives us already a good fundamental basis on that. And I don't know how much you could differ from those things, because if you're starting to look at what ANISA is doing and what NIST is doing, well, I'm not saying that they are copycats, but of course, the biggest security risks they are trying to catch them in what they write down.
Okay, I think I've gotten I've downloaded so much information from you, Wouter. I need some time to also make sure that our listeners are also kept up in pace with OCF. So thank you very much for all this information. And if there's anything you'd like to say to all the listeners at Southeast Asia?
Well, of course, we are an international organization, and the more people from the different continents, the better it is. So we are flexible with all our meeting times. So I have to get up in the morning or in the evening to accommodate all the people that are joining. So don't be afraid, just join and see where it can lead you.
Yes, there's no more barriers. We're talking about the world as one now and not different countries anymore. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this interview, Wouter. We look forward to working with you more. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuan.